Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cristiano's Music Reviews. And today, we'll be taking a deep dive in one of the most iconic concept albums in rock and roll history, David Bowie's 1972 masterpiece, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. That is one of my favorite album names, just because of how long and weird it is. This album isn't just a milestone in rock and roll, it's a cultural turning point, a sonic evolution, and a bold reinvention that redefined the definition of a rock star and pushed musical boundaries in that regard. So grab your headphones, adjust your glitter makeup. Let's spend some time talking about David Bowie's character, the musical DNA of it, and the storytelling and the legacy that continues to shine decades after this dropped. Let's set the stage. It's the early 70s. The world is still feeling everything that's happened in the decade prior. The optimism of the hippie movement fading, the Vietnam War is continuing, political unrest in general, and the world, they want something brand new to pump up hopes again in things. Enter David Bowie, an obscure English songwriter with some albums under his belt, but he wasn't really well known in the worldwide manner, not at all. But in the year 1972, he released Ziggy Stardust, his fifth studio album. It marked a turning point in not just David Bowie's music, but in the musical landscape in general. Ziggy Stardust was an alien rock star sent to Earth to deliver a message of hope in the final 5 years of humanity. It's science fiction combined with some rock and roll and just an all-out spectacle that's not afraid to put itself out there. Ziggy Stardust was outrageous, flamboyant, otherworldly, and Bowie performed them with a kind of commitment that made audiences wonder, what was the origin of this guy David Bowie and the Ziggy Stardust character? Now here we'll look at the CD. Obviously, it's the remaster. Got nice and shiny. I actually just picked this up about a week ago. Very, very happy to have it in my collection. It's one of my favorites. Then you get the booklet here. Some original images of David Bowie, track list, a bit of the album cover, lyrics. A very cool image of David Bowie here. You get this. Be sure to show you all more images of David Bowie in this era of his with his band. And then you get, very good booklet, one of my favorites actually. I like how much effort they put into it here. And then obviously the back with the track list and everything. Not a single miss on this either. It's not a single skip, because if you skip, you miss the concept. Alright, back on to the actual album here. Because, well, the image of Ziggy Stardust is unforgettable, absolutely. It's the songs that make the myth, the legend, actually matter here. The album opens with 5 years. An absolute fantastic album opener. It's supposed to be a concept, it reels you in, saying that the world's coming to an end in 5 years. 5 years, world's gonna end. A desperate picture of humanity scrambling to make sense of the final 5 years of its existence. Theatrical, slow building, with David Bowie's vocals becoming more and more out there, out of the left field, as the song comes to its climax. It's apocalyptic, but weirdly comforting at the same time. Then we go into Soul Love, a bit of a groovier track, which is a less emotional spectacle than 5 years for sure, but it's still absolutely fantastic with the lyrics questioning our human understanding of love in every metric, spiritual, maternal, romantic, in a world that's running out of time, and that's coming to an end very soon. Next comes the gritty, raw, fuzzed out riff of Moonage Daydream, one of the best songs on the whole album for me, and one of David Bowie's best in general. And you have lyrics that just show how far out there David Bowie was at this time. With a lyric like "I'm an alligator, I'm a mama papa coming for you." It's just it's funny. Like, it's funny, it's out there, it's shocking, it's different. It mixes the sci-fi aspect with raw rock and roll, and absolutely fantastic guitar solo by guitarist Mick Ronson. It's absolutely fantastic. One of David Bowie's best, and an absolute highlight off of the album, if I have to point anything out here. Then we had Starman, the big hit, the big single, one of the best songs ever made for me. It's an absolute anthem. This was the song that got David Bowie as big as he is. This is the track that really put him into the limelight and cemented the legacy of David Bowie here. And it's supposed to be like Ziggy Stardust coming out of the sky and being like almost like a messiah for humanity. It's just the way this song ties up the concept is fantastic, but it's catchy as well. Fantastic work, it really is. And then you get a track like It Ain't Easy, which is a bit of a bluesy song, which is nice because it's a breather for the concept, and you get it's nice and catchy, and you get some blues rock in there to throw another stone out of left field for the album here. And then you get Lady Stardust, which is a bit of a heartfelt ballad, which actually goes and blends the lines between David Bowie himself and the persona Ziggy Stardust. And it's read as a tribute to Mark Bolan of the band T-Rex. Check them out too. And it's one of the most beautiful melodies on the entire album for me. And then we get the absolutely fantastic 3-song outro here. Ziggy Stardust, Suffragette City, and the absolutely fantastic closer, Rock and Roll Suicide. Ziggy Stardust is like a musical biography of this character, Ziggy Stardust here. It's told in the third person, chronicling Ziggy's rise to fame and the eventual destruction of his character, the downfall. It's a perfect rock and roll track from the iconic opening riff to the mysterious ending. Ziggy played guitar. You'll know it from the moment you hear it. You probably heard it before, and don't stop hearing it. It's one of David Bowie's finest tracks for me. And then Suffragette City, it's fast, it's raw, it's infectious. It's a fantastic track. It's probably the most energetic cut on the album, in a way, and it's another great song. It's fast. It sounds like a glammier, poppier version of a Rolling Stones track, and I appreciate that a lot. With some funny lyrics, wham bam, thank you ma'am. It's chaotic, and that's exactly what David Bowie is trying to show off here, and he absolutely landed the landing for it, absolutely for me. And then finally, you get the outro, the big outro, Rock and Roll Suicide, and it just shows that Ziggy Stardust, he burnt out. He burnt out. He's done. He's at the lowest point. It's a tragic ending, but it has a lot of catharsis behind it. You're not alone, Bowie cries over and over again. It's one of the most powerful, affirming lines he ever wrote. Especially for young people who related with the Ziggy Stardust character. And it showed that David Bowie is not just capable of writing catchy glam hits, but he's also capable of being emotional and vulnerable with his audience. And that's what makes him so well renowned, is that he has so many sides of his art that you listen to albums by him and that you see that he has so many different genres that he goes into, and that he's magnificent like that. One of the best ever artists for me. Just he combined so many genres together, and he made it work almost every time too. And then you get what really makes the album enduring isn't just the music, the concept of the album. David Bowie conducts a loose but emotionally rich narrative about a doomed planet, the hope that comes when Ziggy comes to the planet, and the destructive nature of fame. And then Ziggy is almost treated like a prophet, preaching hope through his music, but as fame grows, his ego eventually consumes him, and he becomes worshipped, and it gets to his head. And that his character is that it's about the downside of fame that is rarely ever shown, and that being a celebrity is taxing on your mental health. And that's why David Bowie had to get rid of the character, because he said in an interview that it that he had to kill Ziggy Stardust, or the Ziggy Stardust character would have killed him. And that's where the fall part of the album title comes in. By the time the album closes, Ziggy is a broken shell of himself, a victim of his own legend. That the concept of the album, it's one of the best concepts ever shown in music in album form. And it's just musically, Ziggy Stardust is ground zero for glam rock. The glorious glittering hybrid of hard rock, theatrics, and the futurism. And it's not just glam, it's proto-punk with songs like Suffragette City, space rock with Starman, and even early hints of soul and funk that David Bowie would later come into later on in his career. The production, handled by Ken Scott alongside Bowie himself, is tight and raw. The Spiders from Mars, particularly Mick Ronson, are absolutely on fire. The guitar work, string arrangements, and overall presence are essential on the album. This was a band that felt home, that they were doing their thing. They were a tight-knit group of people that really, really wanted to make their music. So here we are, over 50 years later, and Ziggy Stardust is a vital, vital album for anyone wanting to get into rock, wanting to get into David Bowie. It's probably his best album, arguably. It's tight at 11 tracks. Nothing is out of place. The whole concept is molded together. Absolutely essential album. In that it gets you in this thing of David Bowie feeling like an outcast, and he makes it into a glamorous story. He told people that it was okay to be weird and to be yourself, to put on a costume and become bigger, and to become something different, to go and be different, because being different is okay. The world may not have ended in 5 years, but for many of us, Ziggy Stardust changed the world. It was the end of the old bluesy rock and roll style and the beginning of glamorous, out there, rock and roll. It was the start of a new era, absolutely, in music. Ziggy Stardust played guitar, and Bowie played us all with his absolute brilliance of a concept album here. Overall, I would have to give this a 10 out of 10. What else can I really give this that justifies it? It's fantastic. One of the best concept albums of all time. One of the best rock and roll albums of all time. And my favorite David Bowie album, personally. And just look at that cover art as well. The cover art's beautiful. One of my favorite cover arts from him. But yeah, 10 out of 10 album. Essential music listening in general. If you want to give it a listen, if you haven't. But if you need highlights, because, people like highlights sometimes. My highlights are Moonage Daydream, Starman, Ziggy Stardust, and Rock and Roll Suicide. Those are my favorite tracks on the whole album here. Well, people, I'm happy that I could review this. I'm happy that I can keep reviewing these fantastic albums, and that I'm happy I can keep promoting music to new people. Like and subscribe to the channel if you liked this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.